Yeah, so I think that to an extent we'll start to slowly integrate back to normality. I think that normal will be defined quite differently for the coming months and maybe even the coming years now. Obviously, depending on sort of probably what happens in regards to a vaccine to the virus and things like that as well. But I guess, and this is really only from, look, you hear so much media commentary and so many different rumours going around the place, but my personal opinion would be that I think that the first integration back in was they'll say, all right, you're allowed to have X amount of people in for X amount of time, and that will be fairly closely sort of restricted, and it'll just be a matter of us, I guess, cycling through our clients in small groups for a certain amount of time, and that will progressively increase as we move further and further from the situation. So, say, for example, it might be you're allowed to have 10 people in per hour, or it might be something to do with sort of space guidelines. So we're fortunate. We're actually a 24/7 facility. We've got key tags on the door and things like that as well. It was a bit more of a outlay in regards to the initial costs and also insurances, but I think probably from a lifestyle point of view, in terms of myself and my wife not having to be sort of as I guess so diligent in being here every single hour of the day, it allows our clients to come through. And what we can also do is sort of limit people. So we might say, all right, 10 key tags per hour, or we might sort of set up on our app system certain blocks of an hour, maybe separated by 15 to 20 minutes, where we can clean equipment in between. And then from there, you're stuck to your allocated time block, and you sort of have to be in and out during that time. So I'm guessing that's sort of along the lines, but a lot of that will be determined this Friday. So fingers crossed. I think a lot of people will have their hopes very, very high. So yeah, that's my thoughts sort of over the coming months, I reckon.
Yeah, so we're going to have a meeting with all the coaches from across the different branches to talk about reopen strategy, and I think you guys probably have also or are about to, and many gyms are, as we anticipate this to be happening. Obviously, we don't want to get our hopes up too much, but it's probably looking likely to reopen to some degree. It's not going to be a reopen back to normal immediately. I think everybody knows that. I think what they're going to say is a certain amount of people within a facility at a time, based on either the square meterage of the facility or just an absolute number. I think they will probably be appointing officials from either council or maybe police officers or a mix of both to go around to some of these places like cafes, restaurants, gyms, whatever, on a regular basis to make sure that they're doing random audits to see that people are having social distancing in place. And I suspect there'll be very hefty fines. I think I heard some figure at around $65,000 if anybody is not following those guidelines. So what we need to do, I think, is very simple, very straightforward in terms of coming back to it. We are in a better position than commercial gym facilities because it's the way we operate anyway. I heard somebody saying like there was some number thrown around that 10 people within a gym at a time. That's not far off our peak time period anyway. So it would be a good thing for gyms like us for that to happen, if it's going to be an absolute number like that. I think, as was mentioned by Sean, we need to, there'll be a booking system from morning to night in 45 minutes, hour blocks, with programs to go with that can yield the best results and get the most amount of work within that time, whether it's utilizing things like supersets or excluding things that aren't really that necessary within the program and just go and stick it to the bread and butter stuff, and making sure that people are doing those things to get the most out of it. There needs to be regular supervision throughout the whole thing, not just cameras, but also on the floor. There needs to be staff supervising all of this stuff to make sure people are maintaining social distancing and they're adhering to the laws and regulations. Obviously, with I'm not sure if all of us here, but at least a couple of us, we have swipe systems for our facilities, so we can monitor who's coming in and who's not coming in. So that's an excellent way, an excellent selling point for us in the fitness industry to be able to monitor things and be able to put forward. In fact, I argue that it's safer than doing it at a park. At a park, people spit on the ground, they're sweating everywhere, they get closer to each other. It's a little bit harder sometimes to monitor things outdoors, and that's how it should have been from the get-go. This should have been put forward and thought out a little bit better from the get-go. Indoors is more protected, is more controllable than outdoors. As far as the cleaning, this is going to be stepped up. I mean, all of us, we clean all of our facilities anyway. It just needs to be multiplied by 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever. As people walk in, make sure they sanitize their hands, make sure the equipment is wiped off, not just by the person after they finish using the equipment, but also by the staff after that session, that round is over, and the next batch of people are supposed to be coming in. Perhaps you could set off sort of like stations, or you could mark out places on the floor where if you're going to be squatting, this area is for you. Don't step outside of that towards the other squat racks or whatever. Try and maintain a distance. You could outline walkways, supposed walkways through the gym floor, so people can walk in one way, walk out the other way. Like if they're going to get something, they go this way and they come back out the other way. So there's multiple strategies in that regard, but I do see things opening up slowly and returning to normal. They will analyze as it goes and see what the statistics are showing. If there's no major spike, if people are not taking the piss and following the rules, then we should be good to go, and hopefully we are.
All right, Amir. There's some strategies in there. I think there's some strategies in there that people can take, that you're preparing for, that we all can take from that right now. Lockie and Karl, you might want to answer this collectively, considering it's the same business, or individually, up to you. What do you think, Lockie?
We'll probably talk at different times, because I reckon one of our voices will overpower the other. Mate, yeah, look, I won't take much time. It's very simple at the end of the day for us. We've got no freaking idea. No one really does. We'll play it by ear. We'll wait till it starts. If it's official, we've already discussed it. We'll probably give it about a week to make sure it is locked in. Will give us a week to get all of our equipment back into our gym. We've got a number of things that we've modified, and to be honest, probably not necessarily in a response to COVID, more or less us just evolving and changing. So we'll be rolling out a different look in our gym, a couple of things we wanted to do, probably a different look and feel with some of our scheduling things to streamline stuff, to make us more efficient, to make our coaches more efficient. And to be honest, COVID's just been a great time for us to be able to make those changes. But yeah, as far as anything else goes, we're a small gym. We have a niche market. We're athletes. Most of our sessions are at 10 or under anyway. So if that is the rule, then we're good to go. We don't really have a big public membership side of it, and it's certainly something that we're looking to push to the side anyway. So if anything, it just increases the speed at which we've made changes, and that's about it, to be honest. I know Karl's probably got a couple of things to add, but he might want to come off mute.
Get off mute.
There we go.
Yeah, so I've got something probably to add that maybe wouldn't be considered. I don't want to echo what everyone else is saying, because I think we're all kind of singing the same tune here. But something that I think our smaller gyms should consider, or the guys who are listening to this on the live, and the guys who might listen after, we're in a very leveraged position. We have small gyms. We probably run class-based structures, or we certainly have obvious peaks where people are coming in. And outside of those peaks, there is a huge opportunity, even if it is a restricted number like 10 people or less, to start to reach out to those commercial PTs who are not able to resume operations within their gym because the gyms just simply don't have a capacity. For a Fitness First to manage 10 people or less, there's probably 10 cleaners, let alone anyone else. So I would probably recommend for us small guys, maybe I don't think we'll do this. I don't think we need to. But if you find that money is an issue and revenue is an issue early on, there would be absolutely no harm in reaching out to all the PTs in the local area, putting up a Facebook ad, targeting PTs and saying, hey, these are all our time slots we've got available for you to start training your clients properly again and stop throwing around core bags in a park. So, in terms of a useful strategy that that creates a bit of a win-win for us smaller guys, that would be my recommendation. Maybe a bit left field from what else we're going to say.
I like it, Karl. It's good. It's good. I was going to say as well and this is just probably going back to what Amir was saying in regards to regulation and some stuff too. Just more out of interest sake, have you guys heard of anybody within your state that maybe has been doing the wrong thing and has been penalised for it as well? Have you guys heard of anybody from that point of view?
Heard threats of it. Heard threats of an F45 guy who essentially took his 36 clients with these two trainers and walked across the road to a park, and I don't think the cops thought that was a very good idea. But I heard that was a warning that he received, but nothing further, and I don't have any examples of where an actual fine's been.
Shorty, I don't know what it's like in Adelaide, mate, but here in Sydney, snitches get stitches, mate. So we keep our mouths shut.
In Adelaide, mate, we're more than happy to just oust anybody.
That's why it's the worst city in Australia.
I don't know how you live there, man. Fuck Adelaide, man. Fuck. Every time I'm there, I'm like, fuck. Yeah. It's Adelaide, for fuck's sake.
I say that, but literally, when we're in our drought, I had the water police, so to speak, or Sydney Water come around to my place, 3 people, because someone snitched on me. I had a dripping tap, and they came over and reviewed my whole house. No dripping tap, but someone dobbed me in for a dripping tap.
You got ratted on. You got ratted on, Lockie.
I know. My secret dripping tap that I'd secured so nicely. Unbelievable. Humans, hey? Humans. Jesus.
To give you a little insight of Adelaide, obviously, we do get paid out. There's not a great deal going on here, especially during COVID-19, boys. There's even less happening. Don't worry about that.
1.5 metres was closer than anyone had actually been in Adelaide. Everyone had to come closer.
So we were fortunate. We never went right down to the restrictions of like sort of full on lockdown. So our greatest restriction was you're allowed to work with a group of up to 9 in the park. But if anybody was with 9 people, we didn't even sort of to get close to that, just for the fact of people would take photos of you, or that's sort of like you'd see some sniggering on the sidelines. You see people sort of like almost like sort of bitching in front of your face, like and just really judgmental. So anybody who actually went out and did like a boot camp with 9 people was pretty risque. So
you wouldn't be able to fit 9 people in the park here. I went down to the park yesterday. There was about 150 people there. It's insanity.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah. So now we've kept it fairly low. But yeah, like I just was interested. I know one of our clients runs a Pilates studio, and only sort of 2 hours after shutdown occurring, police were knocking on the doors just to double check. So they were taking it pretty seriously. But it was just more out of interest sake more than anything. So you'll go ahead, Woody. Give us
do you have any closing thoughts on this, Wood?
What? So say it again.
Closing thoughts. Like,
do you
have any additional thoughts on this, or no?
I think what everyone said, they've kind of covered the subject.
Yeah.
Listen, I think you know better than anyone. I don't really plan for anything. I go on the fly. I think you know that better than anyone, Alex. I have.
You're a bit of an off the cuff type of guy, aren't you?
But I go with it. Whatever happens, happens. We don't know what's going to happen, but I'll tell you what. I have the best operations manager / PA / best friend, Kieran, who will be watching this. Without her, I'm fucked. My whole business is screwed. But she's brilliant. She'll know exactly what to do. She will lead us through this. I have a gym manager now called Tommy, who will help with the structure. I've got you. I've got Jeremy, the Brick Ballzilla. I've got a good team. And I've got this young fella here as well. So I think we're going to be fine. We'll just adapt when it comes. Like he said, you modify, you adapt, you refine, you get better. And I think what Karl said it makes sense because we all have smaller facilities we're not a 24/7 facility like Sean's, the big dog. Over in Adelaide, Red Square would be going off right now. But we're a small chain, a small niche facility. We clean like crazy. Like I know Jordan, if you're watching this, my physio, he has been pushing this heavily. You know, we're going to make sure we clean as much as we can. Alex, you bought in that spray and wipe or whatever it was. So what was that stuff you bought in? That natural stuff?
That is a homemade bleach and water mix shown by the World Health Organization, a special dilution to kill bacteria and viruses.
Right on, bro.
That's how he lost the side of his hair when he was making
That's a little accident we had. I'm nearly gonna. It's nearly happening to everyone at all. The whole head.
Are you gonna? Can I ask you a question? How much are you gonna grow your beard, bro?
I told him, as long as this pandemic goes on, this beard will continue to grow. My barber ain't in action. What can I do?
What do you mean your barber's not in action? Barbers are allowed to. It's fine.
My barber's closed, man.
Well, go get a new one. Go.
I'm loyal, man. You got to be loyal.
You know, venture out.
I just want to add
Oh, wait, Decranus, go ahead.
I was just going to say what Amir said before about really getting to the point of like those programs that just hit what you need to is actually a really good skill that I think, you know, I'm trying to learn as well. And obviously you guys know, because like people's lives are just getting busier and busier, whether the fact it's of Corona where we have a short period of time, or if it's just general, the more fact that we can get like through the program in a good amount of time and really allow people to get through it and do their other things in their life is going to be really important as well.
Very articulate, Chris. You've learned.
I wanted to now shift gears to something I probably should have started with, but I got carried away and I get excited with other things. But I know Karl and Lachlan, you guys at AA, you have something called the Kevlar series that is actually, I just realized was free, right? It's this free program that you guys have. Can you guys tell us a bit about it? And then I want to ask everyone else about other content that you guys have.
Yeah, sure, mate. We end of last year, we sort of brainstormed a little bit about what we commonly get asked most, and what we could do to try and help both coaches and athletes the most in sort of a single response without having 400 different messages going around trying to help individuals. And we came back with sort of most of the questions we had was either from coaches or from athletes is, I had an injury, I rehabbed it, but it still niggles, it still hangs around. I'm back training, I'm doing everything I'm meant to do, but I'm still not confident with it, and these type of things. So we sort of came up with the concept of, well, why don't we produce a bit of content around resilience training and how we can start to isolate specific areas to help people. So it's not a completely different program. They don't do it in the gym for an hour every day. It's just a little tack on to what they're already doing. And also for coaches, it gives them a library of stuff that they can use. So we came up with the idea of the Kevlar series, which is the idea behind creating protection around a joint or muscle based on previous injury or risk of injury. And we came up with a number of areas. And the first area was our ankle and calf sort of shank area. So we did that one. We're big in testing and retesting. So we created options where people will test themselves, identify left v right, but identify where they're at. 12-week program gets implemented. It's 2 times a week, 10 minutes per session, just at the end of a current session they're doing. And then after 12 weeks, they retest and show that they've improved and hopefully created a little bit of, I suppose, protection around that area and give them more confidence. So we released the ankle one and there was some really good feedback on that and went really well. And then we rolled into my wedding, rolled into January start where we obviously had the drought and bushfires, but then we had a fair storm that knocked our facility's power out for a week. And then we rolled into COVID and just one thing after the other, we sort of got delayed in trying to produce that second one. But the opportunity of COVID to try and get it done was fantastic. So we've just released our hamstring one, which is the same principle, 12-week program, bulletproof the hamstrings. And in the market at the moment now, we've got the knee about to come out, we've got hip and back, we've got shoulder, and we'll have neck. Sort of those key areas that people probably don't know as much about for training as far as the athletes go. They've got 1 or 2 exercises in their program, but a lot of athletes they find them problem areas. So yeah, mate, we've put it out there and hopefully it helps some coaches and athletes and obviously we're here for any help. But it's been fantastic.
That's awesome. I put a link in the chat for people who want to check it out. I love how it's free because, and I know you all have, and I want to talk about with everything. I just want to, give the people listening, like, something they can immediately action. Like, there's no really excuses, like, to not, improve your performance, become a better athlete, improve your health in some way or another. You don't necessarily need much money. The resources by amazing facilities and people like you guys are out there. And Karl, I want to give you like your 2 cents. If you have anything to add on that.
I kind of based on what Lockie was mentioning and kind of a larger philosophy of Lockie's is if you have to do something 3 times, you should systemize it. So once you've had to do the same thing 3 times for 3 different people in 3 different situations, what you probably got is a fundamental problem and a solution that can be applied to that problem. Now we had, as he mentioned, athletes, coaches, primarily athletes always say, look, I just doubt my ability here. I'm just not confident in it, whatever it might be. And it was so common. That question was so common that we realized, hang on, we need to systemize this because it was actually taking away our time, our programming time as well, by having to redesign a foot and ankle prehab program for every athlete that walked in the door. We didn't actually need to do that. The fundamental philosophies were all there. We just needed to systemize it. We needed to be able to progress through qualitative criteria, and it needed to be adaptable. So, we also realized, hang on, we can optimize our own system here by rolling out these Kevlar programs. So whilst they're out, by the way, I made that on Canva. So if any coach is wondering how that got done, that was on Canva and with an iPhone. And you film the fucking thing, and then you put it in Canva, and you link the thing with URLs, and you've got a gift to give to people. So as you mentioned, we do come up with a lot of excuses why we can't do it, or it's already been done. I'm sure there are hamstring prehab programs on the market. I'm sure there are foot prehab programs on the market. In fact, I know there are, but it didn't stop 1,000 people downloading that last night across those 2 in literally one evening. So I think there is always an opportunity to help people, and we often create reasons why we shouldn't. As you mentioned, there's simply no excuse good enough not to do this stuff. And me and Lockie said it to ourselves. It just wasn't good enough that we made excuses for not releasing something that we knew people needed. And then for us too, from a purely selfish perspective, as coaches and business owners, what we know is that the main asset in a digital age is attention. If we can keep people's attention for longer, we can stay front of mind for longer. We become the solution, or at least the go-to exploration for the solution for that 3% of the market who want to take action and change something in their lives. Absolutely. So we know if we can constantly be omnipresent and constantly provide value well before the transaction ever takes place, well before that happens, that we will be the go-to. And I say that selfishly, because we want the business and we want to help people.
And that's why you did it for free?
100%.
Yeah.
Of course. You want to lower the barrier to entry. At the end of the day, our Kevlar programs are not a complete solution to athlete development.
Yeah.
So it's not like that product itself or that gift itself can solve everyone's problems. It can't. But what it does do is it starts to establish some authority, and it establishes what's called the strategy of preeminence, where you decide that it's your responsibility to look after people, even if they can't give you their money. And if you have that philosophy in place, and it helps govern a lot of your decisions. And we realize that, hang on, we could charge $1 or $9 or $19, whatever that, those low price point offers.
Why didn't you guys?
We're playing a long game. We want to play a long game. And I feel like I don't think we would have had 1,000 downloads over 12 hours, even if we charged $1. Even if we charged 97 cents, we wouldn't have had $1,000, because there is always a little bit of a barrier to entry when you do put a price tag on it, when you have to put credit card details into a form. And we know we could reduce that barrier to entry, provide the value, because we're playing for the, in a market of 100%, 97% of your market, your target market, is not ready to make change. Only about 3% are. So we're playing to the 97% who aren't ready, but when they have email sequences from us, when they've got incredible gifts from us over the course of maybe even a year, when it is time to be ready, we're the only person they're thinking about.
Absolutely. Fuck. That's it. That's the blueprint. That's it.
That's it.
Fuck. Sean,
Yes.
tell me, like, I'm not as familiar with all of your products and all of your services. So Sean, and then Amir, and then Wood. Tell me, and I know more Wood. Tell me about kind of your strategies around that thinking, and what product services that you either have for free or very cheap that people can go ahead and take value from.
It's funny, I feel like we are right on the same page, Karl. It gets me up and about when I hear you talk about that, Karl. So I guess probably in the earlier stages of all this happening, and I know that I guess before everything was sort of completely cancelled, it was more about, we're talking about like a month postponement. We actually put together, and I've just quickly whipped it up, we've got the COVID-19, same again, we just did it on the on Canva, our 4-week program. And obviously, the Athlete Authorities guys, they've got a strong piece of the puzzle there with their. They're talking about ankle, shin, and I was one of the downloads as well last night, boys. Very, very good work.
They're looking good, brother. They're looking good.
If anybody's watching this, make sure you get onto it because it's fantastic content. And for any general punter out there, or your weekend warrior, or your semi-elite athlete, to get that sort of content is invaluable. So jump on it. I guess I feel like what I've put together is a really nice complementary piece of the puzzle as well. So my program was more based around, I guess, the loading of conditioning, because I know that a lot of our clientele or our niche market as well is you sort of your semi-elite or your weekend warrior that takes their sport a little bit more seriously. And that first sort of week or two that I saw the things were starting to get postponed, I saw people going one of two ways. Some people were just doing nothing at all and thinking stuff like I don't know when it's coming back. I'm just going to sit on my ass and or sit on a bike and just wait for training to resume. Or some people going overboard. So some people saying, like, I've covered 30 Ks this week. I've smashed out and just sort of picking random loads and just running for the sake of it. So it's very generalised, but from, I guess, experience in the semi-elite industry in a number of sports for quite a while, I've sort of roughly picked a number. Obviously, this can be quite variable, but I've sort of based my program around when you're in season, I'd find from experience, an athlete will cover about 20 Ks per week, like on average. You're talking about sort of the top end and the bottom end, roughly. If you're talking about like your ruckman and your midfielders, your ruckman are probably going obviously below that, and your midfielders are going a bit above that. I always like to refer back to footy because that's where a lot of my experiences come from. You, like I said, sort of 10 to 12 of that loading will come out of the game, and then you usually get your rest in a couple of 5K training sessions as well. So obviously we all know from a periodisation point of view, you don't want to have any more peaks or troughs outside of that sort of 10 to 15% range from week to week in regards to not just your total distance, but your speed loading as well. So all I did was put together a 4-week conditioning plan. So that's, if you go on PEAQ.com.au and go into our ebooks, it's just called the COVID-19 4-week program. It might be a great opportunity to jump onto as well. Same again, it's free. You just literally chuck in your email address and your name and that sort of stuff. And probably what you'll find, so is you start sort of with a bigger load from our point of view, and we're progressing down from an overall volume, but your speed distance increases. So I think we end up starting at around 24 Ks and periodise that into a 21 to 20K week. And I reckon that's a great way to sort of taper off if you've been smashing yourself, so that you're going to roll nicely and you sort of hit that equilibrium once you're back into games again. So in terms of the actual structure of the running sessions themselves, as Woodford would say, you're sort of like your boring programs do work. So there's nothing sort of specky in there in regards to heaps of change directions, more from that volume point of view, just because I guess there could be so many different factors depending on which sport you're playing and which position you play within each sport and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to sort of talk more from a very generalised volume point of view. So each of the weekly loadings were broken into 3 equal running sessions. You complete those sessions 3 times a week. And look, it's not the perfect situation. Like, obviously, you'd want to get something a bit more personalised if you are looking to really maximise your performance. But I think if you're looking for a free resource that gives you at least some structure, rather than just flogging yourself every single day or doing nothing at all, it gives you some sort of idea, and it gives you a bit of a theory behind why we've programmed those loads that way. So smash out your Kevlar series for your hammies, your knees, your ankles, your shins. And then if you're looking for some conditioning loads, get on to PEAQ.com.au and you've got 2 pieces of the puzzle there, team, I reckon.
Right, you beat us to it, mate. We're about to release a conditioning one as well.
Oh, good, mate. And look, download both and implement whatever works for you guys, or a blend of both. Like as we were talking to Lachlan before, in this industry, and that's what is really, really important to note for everybody who's watching out there, anybody who's coming into the industry, or anybody who's an athlete or a client who's hiring a coach, there is no right or wrong answer. That's the main thing about this industry is there's no right or wrong answer. But as long as you've got the purpose or reasoning behind what you're programming or what your content is, that's half the battle. And being able to justify that and show some sort of evidence or some sort of research or some sort of
objective data.
Yeah, that's it. If you got all 6 of us could come up with a different program for the same outcome. And look, there's lots of different ways to skin a cat. And
many roads lead to Rome.
If we had the perfect, if there was a right or wrong way, everybody in pro sport would be implementing exactly the same program. There'd be no hamstring injuries. Everybody would be exactly the same fitness level. It'd just come down to skill. So really, we're still at I think probably the infant stages of this industry, and it's only going to continue to go from here. So that's good. Hopefully, yeah, I'll be downloading yours as well. Like, you don't worry about that, big fella.
Alex, can I say one thing? Because I've been explaining while everyone's talking. I'm just explaining to him, Chris next to me.
You can see how animated you are. You're doing a lot.
No. But I'm trying.
I'm so sorry for him. It looks like you're berating him.
Right?
No. I'm explaining to him the reasons why, and I'm trying to get him to understand. I'll give an example, right? So, Lockie, you were talking before. No, Karl was saying before, a lot of coaches don't believe in themselves. They're so fucking worried about what he says or what an article might say that this disproves what they're saying. At the end of the fucking day, and the reason I'm getting so pumped up about this is because who gives a fuck what anyone says as long as the athlete you're coaching gets the results, they're happy. Why does it matter? And Karl, you're right with what you're saying. You know, you had so many questions about it. We get the same thing where people are so worried, and like you said before, so worried about, fuck, I'm so worried about putting my stuff out there and getting called out. If you're watching this and you're worried, you should not be in this fucking industry. You should want to help and bring, and this is why I talk about coaching exposure and coaching fucking reps. The only way you're going to get fucking better is by doing it, throwing yourself in there, finding out what works, what doesn't work. Yes, a study is good, but you know what a study's not going to teach you? The art of being a coach. And I'll tell you, these guys will tell you who've been in 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years, they will tell you you cannot learn, you can learn only so much from a classroom. The rest you're going to learn from getting your hands dirty and coaching reps. That's the only way. That's the only way. But so many people will say, I'd rather do another degree. And that's nothing bad if you want to do another master's or honours. I've done it honours. Personally, I think you have to have a degree, but I think that's what the minimum you have to have. I don't think you need anything more. I just think you need a degree and a lot of coaching experience. And then after 5 years, maybe then do a master's. But right now we have young coaches who are doing a degree and then going and you guys and Sean and Amir, you guys would see this all the time. They'll do a degree and not have any coaching experience and have no skills at communication, relationship building, understand what works, what doesn't work in the real world, and they go straight into a fucking master's degree. It makes no fucking sense. You're unemployable. Stop doing it. Start going out there. Start researching who are the coaches in the field who are applying the knowledge. Seek them out. Pay for their fucking time. Stop going, oh, well, fuck, can I chew your ear off for this? I'm in the private sector like all these guys. I do it. I still do it. I'll offer my payment straight away. I'll say, listen, even if it's a coffee, something like that, that's something that I'll be like, okay, fair enough. Don't just come to my work, and it's happened before. Amir knows the kid. I won't say his name, nothing, but he came in, didn't book an appointment in with me, quite frankly, was a bit rude, didn't purchase anything. Not saying that you have to do that, but have a bit of respect for the coaches because you're paying for their knowledge. You're paying for what they've developed in their entire career. They've put in the hours. They've put in they've invested in their own career. They might have gone around the world. They might have worked in pro sport. They might have got a master's. It doesn't matter. At the same time, if you want to be like these guys, you want to be successful, pay for their time. And once again, it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but show them a bit of respect. So if you're watching out there, don't message me or any of these guys and be like, I want to chew your ear off. Maybe start with something, hey, I'd love to buy you a coffee. Or, oh, how much your rate? I'll pay for an hour of your time. I don't know. Something like that would be a bit better than just saying, oh, can I chew your ear off, which I get all the time. Remember, I'm working full-time. This is my full-time job like the rest of them. So I just want to say that. That's what I'm trying to say.
A nice little Japanese whiskey would not go too far.
Yeah, well, that's true as well. But does everyone agree with what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is the Woodford that I tuned in for, boys. This is why I got involved.
But does everyone agree with what I'm saying to the young kid? Like, this kid's like first year in. Does everyone agree? Like, I don't know. I'll throw it out there.
Absolutely.
So, I have two things to say on that. The first thing that I think Woodford's got right is you've got to be very aware when you're suffering from a sunk cost fallacy. When you have invested 3 years into a university degree, you've realized by the end of the degree, you actually don't have the skills to go out and turn that into a job and provide value. So instead of getting the fuck out of the hole, you go for another 2 years in a master's only to dig a deeper hole for yourself that is harder to excavate and get the fuck out of. When what you should have been doing is, and what we've always said is, go get your degree, but start coaching from day one. And if you can't do that because you don't have a PT qualification, guess what? Learn from us. We teach Cert 4s. Get one here. Go and start coaching whilst you kind of do your degree, because then you'll actually be able to apply everything you learn over the course of 3 years. You'll care about anatomy. You'll care about physiology. You'll care about biomechanics, because you can see its application immediately and you get that chance to apply it outside of a lab. So I love that idea by Woody. The other thing is, as Woody mentioned, about talking about critics. If you don't have a critic, you are no one. You're invisible. If you don't have people, and if you're not worried about what people will think about you, and you don't expose yourself to criticism, you're invisible, and you can't help anyone whilst you're invisible. So if you think about, historically where we used to exchange ideas, it was in the market square. And if you watch like Sherlock Holmes or anything like that, you'd always see a guy in a square sharing his ideas. Maybe it's a prophecy, maybe it's something else. But that's important to know, because that was where we used to exchange ideas and potentially cop flack. We'd get tomatoes thrown at us. We'd get called out. And that is an important thing to remember, given in the digital age that still exists. But now that exists through a text rather than a conversation, and people will call you out. We've got critics. I can guarantee you not everyone likes us. I certainly have my fair share of haters, and that's okay, because you cannot satisfy everyone. So does Lockie. And if you're worried about being criticized, you've got a much bigger problem, which is you're invisible right now, and you can't do jack shit to help the people you want to help. So don't be worried about criticism. Be worried about doing nothing.
Can I just add to that? The biggest issue that coaches face, and this is just a complete evolutionary issue at the moment, is exactly what Karl said, that when you get criticism, it used to be public and it used to be something you could escape. This day and age, because we commit to social media, it's very hard to escape that. And I think there's plenty of news articles. I think everyone knows of someone that, whether it be bullying in high school, whether it's even people who've committed suicide, that they just feel like they can't escape it. So I think probably a suggestion from me is that if social media is the way you're going to go, and let's be honest, I think everyone should, you have to be good at compartmentalizing and separating yourself from that type of stuff, and understanding that you are going to cop absolutely huge amount of shit on social media. Even if, Brett Bartholomew and I have spoken about it a few times around, it's the only place where you can post a nice picture of a sunny day and someone's going to comment, yeah, but it'll rain soon. Like, there's just absolute wankers on there that are just going to pick apart anything, and you've just got to be able to separate yourself from that. Know that you can turn social media off, switch off, and that type of stuff. Better to prepare for it than to go in as a glossy-eyed, teenager thinking, oh, it's always going to be sunny, it's going to be beautiful. It's not going to be. If you want to put your opinion out there, the old story, stand for something or fall for everything. So it's true. You stand up for what you believe in. You put out your opinions. People are going to disagree with you. Embrace it.
I've been following Woody for a while now, and I can't exactly remember in what context it was, whether it was an Insta story or a post or something like that. But what I think it really sort of hit home for me in regards to just the type of people that will sit back and criticise. So he put up this post about a bloke that actually got to him a bit, and you can probably remember what I'm talking about here, Woody. I can't remember exactly what context, but
I'll name him if I know him.
Did he send him a letter?
You said something, and he had a crack at you, and you sort of got under his skin a little bit, and then you clicked on him, and it said he'd been followed.
Oh, that fuckwit! Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
He followed you for 4 years. So
He
at any stage he could have clicked unfollow, but
bro, that guy was he worked under my mate at the Sydney Roosters. And bro, what the fuck, man? Like, I was like, bro, you kept following me. What the fuck is the matter with you, bro? You want to like tear me down? That's sweet. Like, I know you want to be me, but these guys, like, man, for me, it was like I wanted to leave the industry because of that shit. I'm like, man, I don't give a fuck anymore. What the fuck am I doing this for? And I know you wrote to me something real nice, and I do remember it. I appreciate it. And Karl, you wrote something nice as well. I do remember. But guys like that, man, I feel sorry for him, because the fact that you kept following me and then you kept reading the shit that I wrote, bro, it's like, cool. And I called up my mate afterwards and I said, why the fuck did you hire this guy, bro? This is what he's writing. I'd never disrespect it. Like, at the end of the day, man, I will always be honest with people. People take me for, like, I'm an absolute asshole. When you meet me, I'm a good guy. I actually care about this fucking industry. I'm just very passionate about it. But that did fire me up, and I found that weird. And Sean, that was funny you brought that up.
Yeah, I brought that up more for the point to say I'd prefer to be the bloke that is being followed and having my information, I guess, criticised, as opposed to the bloke that's sitting back in the grandstands throwing rocks and taking cheap shots, just to make yourself feel better. So yeah, just thought that was a good example.
Criticism for me, it's like people always ask me, oh, how do you take the criticism? Well, I couldn't give a flying fuck. If you like me, you like me. It is what it is. Like, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, no, this guy fucking hates me. It's like, well, I'm going to do me. If you want to fire me, great. If you don't want to fire me, unfire me. I couldn't give a fuck either way. My mum doesn't like me most days. So fucking, what chance do you guys have, you know? But at the end of the day, I'm going to do me. You do you, and that's fine. Everyone's going to live their life. But I have kind of calmed down a little bit. I've got a little bit better at like not being a fruit loop on social media. I don't. For everyone out there, my PA runs my social media. I don't read. I had to get off social media because I lost it. But I think social media, as Lachie said, it's a good medium. As long as you're putting out good content and you want to help people, why not? But don't be afraid of criticism, because as Sean said, I'd rather be the one who is copying criticism, the one who is giving out the criticism. It is, you know, I don't understand that for people, but when I call someone out, I just call them out. I'll tag them. I don't run behind people message me off fake profiles. I've had that my whole career, but it is what it is, man. I'm just going to keep moving forward like all you guys. And I think we are creating something special. If you are watching and you're watching this right now, the private industry is about to pop off. And I said this for the last few years, it is going to kick off. We've got some great people right now leading the industry. When I started 8 years ago, we really didn't have much. Now it is really kicking off. So it is good to see. And these guys are leading the forefront around Australia. So fantastic. Great time to get in the private industry sector.
Wow.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, we went down some
I feel like
roads.
we're not doing a round table anymore. I feel like
No,
it's
you're
better.
right.
Whatever you
Let's
it's a
all throw
lazy
it in.
Susan. It just spins and spins. Amir, please.
So I think the question was what we're doing in terms of things that we're putting out there for both our members and for people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So in us coming to that decision, we had to answer a question first. And that question was, who are we dealing with? Who are the people that we're targeting? And more importantly, what do those people need at a time like this? What are the things that they're going to be struggling with? So we came up with a couple of answers. First was that they're not going to have much access to equipment, if any. So we were very, very quick. I think it took us 24 hours to come out with an at-home no gym training program, which we released free of charge to firstly our members, obviously, but also people of the public as well. I put it up on my link tree and I put it out onto Facebook land for anybody to access that. It's still up there. It's still available to access. So it has a program that's bodyweight only with full videos of all the exercises. It has a program that's for people who have only maybe a dumbbell or a kettlebell with full exercises, exercise library videos. And then we decided to branch out from that a little bit more. So we continue to ask ourselves the questions amongst the coaches, what else are people struggling with? So one thing would be certainly, I mean, the physical training side of things is just one thing, right? But mentally, a lot of people would be struggling and are struggling because they weren't predisposed to depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. So we began doing a couple of things. First of all, we started to introduce live mindfulness / meditation sessions for our members and everybody else for that matter to join in. We encourage our members, if they have anybody that they want to bring in on the sessions, they can. And it's led live by one of our coaches who does it on a regular basis and is good at it, has a good understanding of it. The other thing that we started doing was we started doing live sessions on Stoic philosophy. And this one might be a little bit out of left field for some people. I don't know if you follow it or not. I've been following it for some time. Stoic philosophy is a really, really practical, real life applicable way of dealing with things, especially dealing with problems. If you have a good grasp of it, you can grab the bull by the horns, so to speak, in any situation that you're in. And we have a couple of members, one in particular who's very well versed in it. So myself and him lead live sessions for anybody who wants to join. And the numbers in those classes have been picking up more and more. We go through actual teachings and stuff like that. And people have been finding it very effective in being able to handle and manage their anxiety and stuff like that during times like this. We started to also think that you can release programs for people. However, not everybody is self-motivated and self-sufficient. A lot of people there are two main problems with a lot of people. One is they don't have time. They're very time poor because now a lot of times for people, other people have been laid off work. So they are left to take on the work of those people. And so they have less time through the day and they're tired. So they need something where it's relatively short in time, but intense enough so that they can at least feel like they've done something, so that there can be adherence to the program. And as we all know, adherence is above the most scientifically designed program in the entire world. Yeah. If you can get somebody to at least adhere to even 15, 20 minutes of some kind of activity, you can at least maybe maintain some sort of qualities, maybe power, maybe muscle size, maybe some sort of strength, some parts of it, some percentage of it, through utilizing certain things like isometric training and so on. So we began doing virtual Adonis Express classes, which are classes of no more than 20 minutes in duration, led by a coach, and varies in modalities and purpose throughout the week. So that runs morning and afternoon sessions live, and we record it and release it.
How can people go hear it and join in?
Sorry, say that again.
How can people go join in?
So we again have released those to the members, and we've announced to the members they can bring anybody they like, any of their friends or family who want to join in, if they really need something to do. If anybody here wants to jump in on those, let me know. Just contact me, and I'll add you into our group, into our Facebook group. So when we put up the link, you can see it as well. What we did was we went one step further for that, because mental health is really important during a time like this, more than just physical training. I released a Google form for people to register their interest if they're really struggling mentally and they need to do something. Because some people have been laid off work, right? And they can't afford to pay even for an online, live classes and stuff like that. So I invited people, whoever who's genuinely struggling and genuinely can't afford to pay for a program, of any kind to put their name down there, and we'll get in touch with them and we'll join them in on those Adonis Express classes. Thankfully, a few people have registered, a fair few, a couple actually from America, surprisingly. I don't know how they came across that. So they've been joining in on that. And changing modalities was something that was very important, because you can only do push-ups so many ways and so much before you get over it when you don't have any equipment at home. You know, not everybody has a home gym. So we started to release, first of all, running programs to encourage our athletes and our recreational level lifters to start to get their fitness up for a couple of reasons. First of all, it obviously correlates very highly with recovery. So the fitter you are, the quicker you recover, not just between sessions, but also between sets, meaning you can do more volume. More volume means more progression over a period of time. So, and not to mention, it's high correlation with life expectancy, the fitter that you are. So this is a perfect time to do something that you've always sort of avoided. So running programs have been going good. We did a gymnastics ring program as a way to give some people something different to aim for and target during this time. You can get excellent workouts using gymnastic rings and gymnastic-like movements that can go on for 8, 10, or 12 weeks. And by that time, we were counting on gyms being open again, which it looks like it's becoming the case. We introduced a handstand program because that's something that a lot of people wanted to do. So people have been going in on that stuff. And I released a few DIY videos on how to make your own makeshift like pulley systems, sandbags and stuff like that for people out there, so that they don't get stuck at home. They can go out, easily make themselves a pulley to do tricep extensions, bicep curls, lat pull downs, all that jazz. That's still on my Instagram page. So if anybody wants to know how to make themselves any kind of equipment, jump on there. You can see some of those videos. And probably the last thing that we did, the final thing that we did was just the other day. So what I did during this time, because I had more time on my hands, I began to do something I'd wanted to do for a while, which was to teach myself welding and how to make gym equipment. So for people out there who don't have access to a gym for whatever reason, because it might not be a money issue even, it's just that they, for family reasons, can't go out. They have to quarantine themselves. We have extended our Adonis online services, where from now on, and this is something that will stay on forever, Adonis Athletics will make you equipment and give you a set of bar and plates and do your programming. We'll deliver it to your house, set it up there, and so that way, people who can't go to another gym for whatever reason, or they just want to train out of their own garage, will get equipment that fits the bill, is designed by a gym that is in the strength and conditioning field, so knows what the equipment should be like, and you'll get the programming to go along with it to fit the equipment that you have at your house. So those are just a handful of some of the things that we have been rolling out during this time, Scotty.
Can I just ask a question for you guys? I was just wondering, so you guys during this time focusing on more of how you can actually support your community and your members rather than actually trying to get financial gain? Like, is that what you guys are more looking for? Like, opening a variety of how you can actually help people?
For us, absolutely. Like in regards to releasing the Adonis Express classes, especially for the mental health initiative, the immediate release of the body weight and at home programs that we did free of charge, which is still free of charge, the running programs, all that goes with it. They're all part and parcel. So people are more than welcome to go into those. The Stoic philosophy classes and the meditation classes are also free. All the members can bring in their friends, and I've released links to that multiple times on my Instagram stories and stuff like that. People have jumped on, and it's been great to see people in there. So yeah, absolutely. For the majority of the part, it's for non-financial gains, at least for us. Off the back of that, anything that is financial has been in a very sort of fair way to still be able to lower the barrier, keep the barrier low for people to be able to do. So for example, like the making of equipment, obviously there's the cost of parts to cover, you know what I mean? But still making it so that it's still very realistic and very doable for people to still be able to get things going.
I think Karl touched on it really well before, where like if you really need to think about that long game, and during this time frame, as well as keeping your athletes or your clients in a reasonable shape so that they minimise the risk of injury and there's not going to be massive spikes and troughs in their loading and that sort of thing. I think it's really important more than anything, and this is probably something we touched on back in our first discussion, but reminding everybody they're a part of a community, because it's very, very easy when everybody's isolating at the moment to feel disengaged and feel alone, to remind people that you're still thinking of them and still make them feel a part of the community, even for the short term, if it's no financial gain for you there. Certainly for that long term, you're going to have members and clients and athletes that are sticking around for longer periods of time, which inevitably will mean that they are spending more and more money at your business from a long-term perspective, and you're helping them get through a period where everybody's probably experiencing some sort of economic hardship as well. So, look, I've seen some businesses, even locally from a small point of view, that just literally switched off as soon as everything got shut down. They stopped posting on socials, didn't provide any free content, and so on and so forth. And I'm really struggling to see, say for example, this Friday, Scott Morrison says, "All right, guys, we're good to go again." All of a sudden, these businesses are coming up and going, "All right, guys, time to start paying your memberships again, or start paying me," and they've just sort of haven't been in touch for the last 7 weeks while we've been shut down. So I think providing that free content, although not giving immediate return on investment, long term is invaluable, really. Not only just from a business point of view, but from a mental health point of view for your whole community as well.
You got to keep them engaged. I think what Sean you're saying is 100% right. You can't just go after 7 weeks not providing any value, not even talking, not even checking up on them, going, well, fuck, hey, whatever it is, $49.95 a week, $59, whatever it is, we want you back as a client. I think that you have to keep them engaged. You've got to give them, it's that jab punch. You've got to give them that high level content. If it's for free, if it's for a low barrier for cost, anything like that. I know I started, when I started first giving away content, it was tons and tons and tons of content. Then we got to a stage where I go, fuck, I've got to start giving a value on this because this is my knowledge. And around the 5th or 6th, I think the 5th year, we started going, okay, when we bring out these ebooks or these PDFs, let's do a 24, 48 hour sale for $9.95 or whatever it is. And then from there, you can go to full price. I think something like that. But I think if you do give it away for free, I think it's fantastic. We've done it before because it builds your database. I think that's another thing which people haven't talked about yet is you want to build your database. So if you release a high quality ebook, and as Sean, you've said, there's many ways to skin a cat, so everyone's got a different way of looking at it. Most good coaches will look at it very similarly. They're going to do some sort of squat, hinge, push, pull, carry, drag, something like that. Very similar, but to their own training system where they're applying principles, not methods as well. You're going to build you're going to build that you're an authority in this industry because, fuck, you're giving away high quality applied advice that's going to get results, but also you're going to build your database up. And right now our database is about 5,000, correct me if I'm wrong, Kieran, today, but around 4,500, 5,000. And young Chris here is taking over doing the newsletter. Do you want to quickly talk about what you're doing with the newsletter?
So just like you guys have been saying, you're trying to give like as much information as possible and helping your clients. Like, so Christian, me and Cam, we all just decided that I'll make a weekly newsletter, bring up a topic and try to just simplify things like say like squat or what athletes can do during this time and like really help them simplify everything so that now if they're by themselves, they can do that little bit extra. So when they come back, it's kind of like they've sort of worked on these little bits and a bit more enhanced than what they would be if they did nothing.
And by doing that, you're giving them value. And then when it comes to a stage where you can start charging, they're going to go, well, we respect PEAQ, we respect Athletes Authority, we respect Adonis Athletics, we respect Woodford. We're going to pay for the product they bring out when they do bring it out. So I think it's smart by giving out free content, especially at the start, by getting that trust, that respect. And then from there, I guarantee you, now that you guys have given free content, the minute you start putting out content that's paid, people are going to buy it straight away. Because I've seen it with us. We gave away a lot of free content at the start, and then now we're getting so many downloads in terms of every day we get downloads on woodfordshop.com. We've got 10 ebooks. We've got our online video series, myself, Jay Ellis, my 2IC. We've got stacks of stuff coming out. We're going to keep building that education arm because it's all going online. Even our certification that we're doing, you've got to move it online. And people are going to, if you've grown, you've got that respect of the community, your community, and also the online all around the world. People will buy if they've got that trust with you. I've seen it time and time again. And for everyone watching this, everyone in this chat, what we're doing now is giving fantastic value. If if I was you, a young coach like yourself, Chris, I'd be writing down all these guys, where they work, and start following them straight away because they give fucking good content. It's free most of the time as well. Even if you have to pay, it's not going to be that much. And if you're a young coach, stop saying that, oh, fuck, I want to become the best, and start fucking going reaching out to these people because they are really good practitioners and they're doing really good work in this industry. So it's great.
Woody and anybody else, for example, have you, obviously with all the free content and the ebooks and that sort of stuff that you boys have pumped out, have you ever come across somebody who's just completely regurgitated your same information and tried to sell it?
Oh my God.
My sister.
Just yesterday. Oh, you go, Woody, then I'll take.
Okay, thank you. My sister, my twin sister, who I've got to thank her, she we copyrighted it, didn't we, Romy? Did we copyright it?
Is she as loud as you? Is she the girl version?
We've had people take. I don't know what. I'll leave this to Karl, but we have had people take what I've written and just regurgitated it. I had someone from the Chinese Olympic Committee. He was a physio. Take slabs of what I've written and put it as his own social media on LinkedIn. It was Adam Tripers, who is a legend of the game. He messaged me, he called me and said, what's this guy doing, man? He's literally didn't even change it. So it's happened to me numerous times. But Karl,
here we go, Karl.
Come on, Karl.
Look, I'm obviously not going to name names.
Name names, Karl.
I think it is a reflection of the type of coach you end up becoming when you take something, an idea, a concept, whatever it might be, call it your own, and not give credit. I think it is we have this wonderful opportunity to collect ideas from other people. I think probably the testament of the type of coach you are is when you duly give credit where credit is due. And it is incredible to see the frequency. Even just yesterday, and this guy's a lovely coach, and perhaps maybe you do need to give people the benefit of that. Perhaps they don't even realize they take your sayings and all that type of thing. Perhaps, and maybe you should give them the benefit of the doubt. But when we released the first Kevlar back in December, whenever it was, the tagline was, because even the pros need protection. And pros being a reference to combat warfare, the most full-on athletes in the world even wear protection because it reduces downside. And then we released another Kevlar yesterday, and we see literally a post by someone, because even the pros need protection.
No.
Seriously. I'm
no, bullshit. Really?
I'm not kidding.
Do you know this coach? Like, do you guys? Is he
yeah.
Are they a Sydney coach?
Look, I'm not gonna. I don't need to expand anything.
Yeah, but that makes
the guy's probably lovely. The guy.
Yeah. But that makes no sense. Why he's taken your slogan? Like that's weird.
It's very, but it happens to Lockie all the time. Lockie's got this biometric continuum.
Yeah.
And there is a guy, a researcher, who copied the fucking continuum, called it his own, and then did some research on it.
Why didn't you give him credit? Why does that? It's not that hard to give him credit. Give him credit. Incredible.
But it's more a reflection of the coach. Now, remember, we all know that imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Yeah.
We already know that. So what we've got to do is we've just got to let that go. Water off a duck's back, keep charging forward, because there will always be copycats. And there will always be people wanting to ride off your success. They see you do something. They know it works because you're doing it. So then they want to kind of jump on the bandwagon, so to speak. But guess what? People aren't fucking dumb anymore. People know when it's a novel kind of interpretation of a concept, and people know when it's a copycat. They know. So for all the coaches that want to take the easy route, and it happens, and I get it, and I've wanted to do it too, and I've wanted to copy paste shit before. So we've all been there. But remember, there are orders of consequence. the short-term gain you experience from being able to copy a fucking tagline because it sounds great and then talk about your concept as if it were your own, has orders of consequence in the future. Now, me and Lockie will never look at this guy perhaps exactly the same way again. Maybe we will. Maybe it was just an honest mistake. But we will always remember the people that give credit where it's due, and 90% of coaches do. And we will also remember the 10% who don't. So if you are a coach that is kind of dipping their toe in the water and considering, maybe I can get away with this Control C, Control V, I urge you to think of second and third order consequences that you might not be able to see right now. Because if that coach who's above you, so to speak, in the hierarchy, ever finds out one day, yikes.
And then you also have complete muppets that just screenshot a picture and post it as theirs, and then you have about 40 people tag you in that post and say, "Isn't this yours?" ?
That's right. Lockie, I've had your plyometric continuum saved in my phone since the Adelaide Athletic Development Conference, but I've never sold it, and I've never posted it, big fella. I've kept it quiet. I've never claimed it, but that's good. I think we've opened up a can of worms there, boys.
Lockie, do you ever message them privately and say, "Hey, mate, like, what's going on? Like, it is my model I created. Can I have some credit?" Have you done that?
I must admit, I usually let most of it just float off the back, but the reference Karl did to a research, the thing that pissed me off was he was in my ASCA presentation when I presented it. He was in the crowd. And then suddenly him with another researcher has brought this out, and the terminology is almost the same that they've used, and the way they've looked at grading the progression, and they've flogged it off as their own. So I messaged him and said, "Mate, I don't know if it's a mistake, but I know you're in my presentation, and you can't deny that." And I said in the photo, "This looks identical to this." And he's like, "Oh yeah, well," he's like, I'll talk to the journal, get a credit, or I'll give you a shout out on social media." Fucking place. No,
hey, that's fucked, man. That's not right, bro. I don't understand. For everyone watching out there, let's say for example, you use Lockie's plyometric continuum. Man, you look more professional, and you're going to get more respect if we work together and say, "I'm a big guy paying it forward." Always pay it forward. If you got off Lockie, give him credit. You get it off Sean, Amir, whoever, give them credit. It's not that hard. Yeah. I fucking hate that, man. That does my fucking heady. I can't stand.
But just remember, guys, though, Steve Jobs, after creating the iPhone, did not stand up on stage and wave around every other smartphone ripoff and say, "Look at these cunts copying my idea." He moved forward, and he was always ahead of the curve. So who gives a fuck?
Karl, can we talk about your stash?
Bit off topic. It
is growing so much, man.
This was a marriage request.
Did your missus actually ask for it?
She wanted it. She wanted the slug, baby.
No, she didn't. Really?
She did want the slug.
Man, it's so good. Karl, I'll be honest, I've been looking at it for the last 10 minutes. I'm in awe.
It's good, isn't it?
I can't grow anything. He grows more than me. He's 18. I love that. Look how much it is, Chris. See, Chris, that's how you grow a stash. I can't grow one. That's beautiful, Karl.
Thanks, mate.
He's trying to do the Coach Feld. The Coach Feld look he's going for.
He's from, where's he from?
Oregon Ducks.
Oregon Ducks, that's right, yeah. Coach Feld.
Yeah.
Can't you see that one in the green shirt? Can't you see that as Carlos? Look at that.
Oh, shit. Look at
that.
The stash. Hey, nice. But seriously, so everyone watching, don't steal shit and give credit, because it just turns out like, man, if I found it, fuck that, fucking hate that.
But you know why though? Because people want to.
Fucking hate that.
They want to present themselves like an expert. They want to present themselves like they are the authority when they know internally that they have all these weaknesses.
That's called insecurity,
yes.
Alex.
So they're trying to fulfill their insecurities by prostituting kind of their values out there and sacrificing that.
That's pathetic. Man, if I find out who that is, fuck God, help them.
You might see a research paper with it in there, mate, and you'll have all the authors.
Oh, man, I would lose it. I'll mess him. I don't care. I mean, I don't respect that, man. I don't. Nah.
Wouldn't you feel more wouldn't you feel more proud of yourself if you like learned, like if you encouraged that you learned off these people, and like, you showed that, you know, you learned off, you know, like, oh, you guys, like I'm following most of you guys and I see most of your content. I respect that you guys put out good content, and I'm not here saying there's no way I invented it. You know, I learn off you, I learn off you guys. And that's the fact of things. That's the only way we get better.
Right.
It's also no one really invents anything. Like everything that I've put out has been either inspired, learnt off, or stolen from other people.
Absolutely.
How true that. How true that.
I think if there's any consumers out there, so any clients or athletes watching, I think it's really important to remember that it actually adds credibility if you're the coach that you're working with or that you're learning from or you're being coached by shows that they are chasing personal development by learning from different coaches. And as I said, clearly I've got people that pay me for my services, but I've said that I've downloaded Athletes Authorities and Woody's resources absolutely openly. I think you've got to be a filter or you've got to be a funnel. You take in as much information as you can, and then your product or your service or your principles are a result of all those little bits and pieces that have come from. So if you're an athlete or a consumer out there, don't think that it actually discredits your or makes the coach you're working with any less smart if they are utilising or getting resources from other coaches. If anything, it shows that they're taking the time to develop themselves. They haven't just sort of found one principle that they really love and they're married to that and they're going to stick to that forever, because those coaches get left behind very quickly. So get behind the ones that say, you know what, I'm learning from Brett Bartholomew or whoever it might be, and using little bits and pieces and sprinkling that into my program to make it better and to enhance the service that I provide you.
Stop stealing. Just don't steal. It does my head. That's the bottom line. Just get paid forward. If someone does something, because the reason why it does my head in, because I know how hard people work to put out content. And I hate it, and I hate it to my guts when people steal it. Just don't steal. Pay it forward. Sean, you're saying it in a nice way. Like you said, a nice way. Fuck it. Just don't steal. Always pay it forward and give credit where credit's due. That's it. Because I just don't, if I see it, I will call it out. That's enough. And Lockie, if I find out who it is, I will message them. Just how I am. I can't help it. And Karl, out of all people, I thought, Karl, you'd message them.
Well, no, I wanted to.
Oh,
I think from the conversation Lockie and I had was, no, hang on, I want to call this out.
Oh.
And Lockie is essentially he tempers me most of the time because I'm a maverick and I am not to be trusted.
I agree with that last part. In all honesty, it probably comes from the fact that I don't need someone else to fight my own fights. I'm more than happy to fucking put my 2 cents forward. So.
No, that's good, Karl. And look, that's
and Karl's a liability of just fucking calling him a transgender. You don't know what he's going to do. You can't do that these days. And everything's going to be politically correct. Exactly.
Right?
I've got to be careful where Karl goes with his topics, mate. He's a liability.
Got to be politically correct.
A couple of Coke Zeros in him, and he doesn't stop.
Coke Zeros.
All right,
Woody. Well, just quickly, I was just going to say, Woody said, obviously, I said it in a nicer way. I feel like I definitely have to be a bit more PC than you big fella. I still have a bit of a link into, and only in a small sense, to the pro sector. And I know you've got thick skin, and I love you to bits, big fella. I know that when I first started seeing your content, I thought this guy is a crazy bastard. Like, I think he's got a great message, but like he's a psycho. And then obviously we got to know each other more and more and realised that, mate, you've got to have that sort of persona to create followers and get people to listen. So
if you ask Alex would have said the same thing. Don't worry.
I was going to say to you, and I know I can say this because you've got a thick skin. I won't name names, but I did have a superior of mine within the pro sector. When I sort of first got a position in a particular role, we were chatting, and obviously they were very aware that I've also got a business on the side, and I said, is it okay if I guess utilise this as leverage as well? So look, we're gaining experience with pro athletes and that sort of stuff, and they said, yep, that's all sweet, just don't do a Woodford on us. That was the.
I know who it is anyway, man. I'll find out anyway. So, man, it's always funny. It always comes back to me. People talk, and I keep a letter. Like I've got like names of people who I remind myself when I get my opportunity. I have a dip at, and yeah, no one's on that list here. Everyone's fine. Don't worry. It's sweet. I mean, I love everyone these days. Actually, I'm just a lover. So that's fun.
Not doing a Woodford. Not doing a Woodford.
Look, hey, just to say it though, you know, there is some interesting threads in that. You know, when we talk about tissue paper, like we just say Kleenex. You know, when we talk about fucking spray and wipe, we say Ajax. When you say Woodford to describe a strong and powerful personality, that's an impressive thing. And I think that there is probably something to be said. I don't think anyone else could pull off Woodford. That's the reality. No one else could actually pull it off.
Many people pulled off Woodford.
They definitely put off Wood.
Hey, kids, don't do a Woodford. Don't ever do a Woodford.
Alex, why don't we do a? Yeah, mate, love you, mate. Why don't we do a quick fire round, Alex? Just like
give us a quick.
Hit us with a few questions, 2-sentence answers, deliver some value.
Sorry, boys.
Done, because we are getting on. But I love this conversation. This is great. It's all over the place, but it's beautiful. So we got a question from Luke Adams, who's been watching. He asked, sum it up in a minute. Biggest issues you're having with high school athlete development, lack of patience of coaches, overemphasis on strength of size over qualities. So biggest issues you're having with high school athlete development.
We're going to go one-word answer or two-word answer?
Under a minute. Give it a minute.
Or can we do 30 seconds or 10 seconds?
Do whatever you want. Go.
Yeah. Easy. High school athletes are overextended.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I'll go next. I was just going to say time and resources. You get coaches or teachers that want every result in the world, but they'll hire you out for 1 or 2 hours a week, and you just don't get the opportunity to actually get in there and make any difference. So time and resources in the Australian industry, as Woodford would say, we need to get more towards the American style of college.
Yes, we do.
I will go with specificity. They're fucking 14 years old. You don't need to be specific. Slow down.
How true is that? Fuck, that's true. Fuck, that's true.
Yeah, I'm going to go with one is specificity. So early specialization, and what was said before, overextension. And that comes from the influence from the environment, parents, coaches, stuff like that. And there's not the right system, like Sean was saying, like the American system, to be able to match that demand on overextension. And that leads into what Lockie just said, which is really early specialization. So it's a combination of all of those stuff that everybody just said. This is right on.
All right. Very good. We did really good there. We've got another couple more. You know, in times of this financial hardship, you know, let's talk sporting clubs. A lot of sporting clubs reduce staff. They have no staff, or they'll come back and they'll have very limited staff. So what can the coach and the club do to make the best of this situation? And does it take something like maybe a strength and conditioning union to stop sporting clubs or facilities paying coaches under minimum wage?
Lockie and Sean should answer this one. Sure.
You get it, Lockie.
My answer is make sure you had a fucking good coach in the first place that wasn't too niched. Because if you've got a little sports scientist that now is going to have to do 14 different jobs, it's not going to work. So you need to have had a good coach in place. I have a pretty strong opinion against the whole union concept because it just simply will not work. Like there's no way you could have a union where if I'm not getting paid enough, that Karl's going to stand down from his job over in WA working for West Coast Eagles to support me to get more pay. It's just never going to happen. We're not working on a dock. We're not a union or nurses union where we have hundreds of people under the same company. It's never going to work.
It's also because expectations aren't standardized. So a union works when the expectations of the employee are similar across the board. We don't have continuity in the expectation. And that's why I don't think in at least its current capacity, as Lockie said, a union will work, because my role as an S&C coach in Sydney for Gordon Rugby will be very different to the S&C coach's role for the Parramatta Eels. even though it's the same job title.
So the simple answer is, be generous. You've got to have generalists.
Yeah. Look, I am hoping that the next 6 to 12 months is really going to prove to that pro sector how much value the S&C coaches and high-performance staff and all those support staff do add, because I know for sure, and I've seen lots and lots of practical or full-on instances at the moment, whether it is high performance or even, for example, like some of your specialist coaches, like your medium coaches and all those sorts of guys, like we've just been expended really. Like they're going into next year. I know almost probably every sport and organisation is going to be running on a skeleton staff. To an extent, I'm hoping that they really feel sort of the brunt of all that extra workload, so that in 2, 3, 4 years' time, once all those all the losses have been recouped for those organisations, they reinvest in high performance and realise that they're probably not as expendable as they once thought. Because I think, as probably Lockie touched on last time we had a chat, there's going to be blokes like Darren Burgess doing literally everything at the moment, because they've cost cut in every way possible, and in most circumstances, the first 3 names to get crossed off the list are your sort of your extra S&C coaches, your assistant S&C coaches, your sports scientists, and that sort of thing too. So I'm with Lockie in regards to the union. I can't see that working. So I'm probably at a bit of a loss in regards to how we really present to the industry how valuable we are, and how I believe we're not the most expendable profession going around, but I guess only time will tell, and hopefully having that experience will really show to them.
I'll go real quick. I agree with the generalist thing, and also the other thing is, and it may be too late now as it's happened, but also in some cases it's not. You need to have systems in place. You need to have automation. That's how you will do it.
Woody.
Yep.
You're up, big boy.
Oh, what was the question again?
What can the coach and club do, to make the best of the situation now that a lot of staff has been limited?
I got fucking no idea. Go what Sean and Locke said. They've got more experience or more understanding than I do or Chris does on that matter. I'm not going to.
Well, then I'll start you on this one then. Okay, and this is for all of you.
Give me something I can answer. Go.
Give me something I can answer.
Well,
how have you switched your marketing over this time, if at all?
Don't know.
The way you post, the type of things you're putting out there, creating.
If Kieran's watching, she does all that for me.
Well, she has focused more on actually providing content that is applicable to everyone. So it's not just like, you have to come to our gym to be able to do, get the results. It's more so, here's some content, try it. If you like it, we have that knowledge, and then that might bring more people in. So it's like, here you go, try this. You don't need equipment, just go have fun, practice it, and then if you're interested, maybe they might come.
One thing we have done is actually, I do remember talking to Kieran about this, is doing videos with other than myself to show that Woodford is more than me. I'll always be that figurehead, but at the end of the day, I'm getting old now. I'm trying to look for young coaches, yourself, Alex, Jeremy, Brick, Borzillo, Jess, Chris, all these guys to take over from me, because at the end of the day, man, I'm getting older, and I want to start looking at other, developing other areas of my life other than just working on Woodford. I know most of these guys in chat have spouses or significant others, wives, kids. That's what I'm looking for. I've obviously had one engagement that didn't work. I'm looking to develop that other side of my life. So,
if there's any single ladies watching and you're looking for a passionate man,
yes, if anyone can deal with me, that'd be good. So, but no, seriously, I look at other coaches like Sean. You got a young kid, you got a young family. Lockie, you're married. Karl, you're married. Amir, I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure you got a girlfriend or wife. I look at that, and that balances you off, and that's what for me. I used to have it. That's something I'm looking at developing. And you guys all know work is hard. When you own a business, people think it's, we've all talked about this before. It's not a 9 to 5. I think everyone knows this. It's harder than that. And that's something I'm looking at developing. It's something that I really want to, over the next few years, really look at and not move away, how to put it, give more responsibility to other coaches instead of just putting all the pressure on myself. I'm sure you guys have had this at one stage where you said this business is getting too much. I want to delegate, and I want to take lessen the control that you have, and just trust the right people in the right roles. This is where staffing is so important. You got to get the right people. If you don't get the right people, it will shoot you. It will kick you in the dick. Sorry, my language, but it will. I've had it done before. You get the right staff, you're on the right track. So that's what I'm looking at right now.
With our social media marketing campaign, I do have a social media manager, but we are pretty collaborative in regards to sort of the content that we put out there. Probably in the last 7 weeks, what we sat down and had a bit of a chat, and I think home workouts and home training is being absolutely done to death at the moment. If you log on, there's 1,000,004 people doing home workouts and home training. So we thought to ourselves, how do we separate ourselves a little bit? Yes, there is, to an extent, we have been doing a few little sessions here and there, but probably trying more than anything to just try to, I think like we talked before in terms of keeping community engagement, what are us and our staff up to, trying to make things a little bit more lighthearted, because there was a stage, certainly earlier on in the crisis, where every time you turned on your computer or looked on your phone, like it was just, you're just reading about how you're going to die. You've only got weeks left to live because the world is ending, or things are terrible. So still trying to keep some sort of relevance in regards to strength and conditioning or sports or health or fitness, but maybe having a lighter approach to it. So we're probably, in all honesty, in the last 7 weeks being less content heavy and a little bit more just sort of community engagement, a couple of like sort of good feel stories, some messages from our coaches and things like that too. Certainly, like I said, putting out PDFs here and there. But that's probably where we've slightly changed to try to have some sort of separation from everybody else. And I think, yes, all those home programs, that sort of stuff is really important to educate people, but we were just looking at it from a point of view as, what's our point of difference? Are we just putting out another program? Are we just giving explanations of another exercise? Or are we making people feel good when they look at our posts as well?
I think my 2 cents on that is, at the end of the day, our principles haven't changed, and what we do hasn't changed. Like, at the end of the day, you've got burpees, they're still shit. Like, they're not better now that we don't have a gym. They're still shit. I'm still never going to prescribe them. It's not something I'm going to do. The same as our social media. We still would have released a Kevlar. We still would have been promoting exercises. We still push stuff out. The only change is we don't have access to our athletes in our gym. So we've had to fill more in our gym with other things, but also post, what our athletes are doing at home, and create some options for people to do at home. And that doesn't change our principles, doesn't change our programming, doesn't change our belief or even how our Instagram looks. I probably judge people that have tried to be all professional, and then this occurs and suddenly their programs are fucking 1,000 air squats with burpees. And it's still shit. Like you've just completely changed who you are to try and adapt to a coach. That's not adapting. That's physically changing the shade that you are and creating another persona. So for us, I would hope that if anyone looked at our Instagram, almost wouldn't tell when COVID hit or when COVID finishes, because the only difference will be we can't do a heap of footage of our athletes physically training in our gym, and that would be the only thing that's changed.
Yeah, so I agree on that point specifically. Marketing hasn't changed for as long as we've been human beings trying to persuade other people to take action. Marketing has never changed. Marketing is the ability to identify a problem, identify the need of your market, create a solution for them that actually solves that problem, and hopefully solves the problem that they'll get after that, and then persuade them to take action. So marketing hasn't changed. And any kind of, if your marketing has changed, well, then you've either only started identifying what your market's problems are now, or you've stopped identifying what their problems are. So marketing, I feel like, shouldn't have changed for anyone.
In saying that, we are launching the PEAQ Kevlar series tonight, guys. So
because the pros need protection, is that right?
Have you seen it? I'm releasing it.
No, it's because protection is also used by the pros. Very different, man. Very different. Very different.
We've got peaks, plyometric progressions. Get excited for that, guys.
Kevlar with a double A. Very different.
Change the wording slightly, you'll be fine. Come on, Sean. Change the wording.
Yeah, look, I think for all the guys here, I think you're all right. None of you guys have really changed your marketing, and I think that's because you are all very well aware of who it is you are and who it is you service and target. And that's not going to change just because, just because this has happened. And it's much the same with us. Like, we haven't changed any of our marketing. The type of content is more relevant to what's happening right now and where people are in terms of they can't be in a gym, well, they're somewhere else, okay? But yeah, the type of marketing, we're not going to change who we are. If the world completely changes to the point where what Adonis Athletics does cannot exist, I'm not going to change it into something that I don't like doing. I'll just close the doors. You know what I mean? I'm not going to continue doing whatever. Like
not going to do aerobics classes.
Yes, not going to do Zumba classes just because that's what they do.
Zumba's alright. Leave Zumba
You
alone.
ain't never done a Zumba class in your
I've
life.
done a Zumba
No,
class.
you haven't. No way.
Can you imagine this guy at Zumba? He'll be cleaning up, mate.
Lockie, I want to get before I get to the last question. Lockie, I just wanted your 20-second 2 cents on because I know people will be curious. Why are you anti-burpee? Give me the spiel.
I'm anti-burpee for a very good reason. The fact that I don't think I've ever seen someone do it properly, and I'm about coach efficiency and things that I can program and prescribe and coach well. The burpee is one thing it's a fucking impossible thing to coach. It's very tough to coach, and I would never do it for any reason. If you can name why you would do a burpee above anything else, then I'll give it to you. But there's not a single, the same as squat thrusters. I don't like, you never lift enough weight. Exactly right.
Yes, Wood, get it. Oh, look at that.
Watch him roll his ankle on his dog bowl. And that'll
that would be dumb.
Come on, yes.
I hate general exercises that don't do enough of either way. So if you look like a squat thruster, you're not improving your squat. You're not improving your press overhead. It's this weird middle ground of no man's land. Now, if you want metabolic, then that's fine. But I would never prescribe that for metabolic. There's 1,000 other things I do for metabolic. So that's my. Now, if you're a CrossFitter and it's in the workout that you have to compete in, that's a whole different story because it's a competition, it's a sport, you have to be good at it. But if you're an average person or an athlete, fuck, even more so if you're an athlete, it's an embarrassment to see any athlete with a burpee in their program, to be honest.
It's a fallback. I think if you're lazy in coaching and it's that classic saying, any idiot can make another idiot tired. Like if you run out of options, if you run out of ideas, fuck, do 20 burpees, and then your client goes, oh, that was a great workout. I feel exhausted.
I've had this same argument with people that have said, oh, but what is something? It's just calories in, calories out. I agree. If you have a client that needs to go calories out, they're clearly fucking obese. They're overweight. And that is the number one reason why you're not going to do a burpee. If your stomach hits the ground when you do a burpee, you should not be doing a burpee. A better option is just get them to do high knees on the spot. Bang. Calories in, calories out. Easy option. You're not going to blow someone's L4, L5, S1 area from doing it. And that's my...
Or their shoulder joint. If they're overweight, their shoulder joint. I think what you said, I'm gonna use that one, and I will give you credit. If their stomach's touching the fucking ground, you shouldn't be doing a fucking burpee. Burpee's just, as what Sean said, it's just someone who does it who's lazy, and most people can't do it right. Did you, just by a point, did you see that guy, who beat the world record of how many burpees in 24 hours?
So the tiny little.
They weren't even burpees though. It's like, what the fuck?
I think it's the push-up one as well. There's a push-up one where.
Oh man, horrendous. So people don't even know how to do them properly in the start anyway. So you're doomed to fail when no one knows how to do them right.
The simple answer is they're an advanced exercise that is so advanced that anyone that can do them shouldn't be doing them because they should be more advanced and doing exercises.
Yeah.
Okay, well said. All right, the last question for you guys, and Lockie, I want to start with you here because we actually started the call here before we went live, and you talked about getting the confidence for people to put out their opinions and perspectives to the world. So I want you to basically summarize your thoughts there. how do people get confidence, and this is for all of you after it, to put things out there to the world, and how do they know when it's the right time?
Yeah, tough question. I was certainly what Karl would term the old imposter syndrome. When I was young, I didn't think I had anything to say and didn't want to. And I was only, years in pro sport that I started to feel like, well, maybe there is some things I can say. And the reason I sort of started, to be honest, my missus sort of suggested that I did it. But it was sort of driven off, if I was a young coach, what would I have wanted to know? So I put out very simple things. And if I was a young coach, would this have helped me? If I said yes, then I'd post it. And it started to build to a stage where I probably still believe that you got to earn the right to be able to put stuff out there. But Karl actually has swung me around a little bit, which we talk a lot about in a number of our mentorship setups, is that everyone's got something to contribute. So even if you've only been in it for a year, you may have things to contribute on. How are you starting as a young coach? What have you done in your first year? That's not to say that you should start aggressively giving your opinion on advanced topics. But the way you promote yourself and the way you put yourself out there is very important. And like I said, when I put anything out there, it's never the only way. It's what I do with my athletes because of my system or because of a result. If people want to disagree, that's fine. It doesn't make me wrong. It's what I do and it's how I do it. Therefore, that's what I'm posting. And I think a lot of coaches have got to make sure that they find that medium of when they post things, it's not, if I'm a first year coach, you're not going to post, Woodford's wrong because this is what the research says. It's like, mate, you've got no freaking idea. But if you were to post as a first year coach and say, these are things that I've really struggled with, and I've found that these type of things have helped me to improve my knowledge. Brilliant. Any young coach could look at that and go, that's really good information. I'm going to look at that. And as you get older, your content shifts. As you get more authority, as you start to become more of a senior coach, you can put more and more bigger opinions out that are going to have probably more of an impact. But there's no reason a first-year coach can't be putting stuff out that is helping them. That's not to say you should get on your soapbox and start yelling at other coaches. You've just got to understand your content perspective and where you have the right to start to put things out. But at the end of the day, you've got to just have a philosophy, a principle of how you put your content out. I think most people could look at Athletes Authority or my page and get a feel of what we're about, why we do it. Like, I don't have any images of me doing handstands with my shirt off. That's not what I do.
Oh, why not? I want to see it. Come on.
That's the private account. Private account. But things like that is, but some people do that. And some people are very successful with that because they're the practitioner, the technician. That's what they're going to do. I'm not. I train, but Jesus, I'm lucky to get a good training session in these days, but I still try and get as many as I can in. But my time spent coaching, business, car, whatever it is, that's what I spend my time on. So that's what...
Stop stopping him from training. Let him train.
We get a request. Can we, next Athletes Authority post, can we get Karl with his shirt off?
I want to see Karl with his shirt off.
He's freshly wet as well, I believe.
Karl with his shirt off doing a handstand and Lockie in the background coaching him.
Well, we have done handstand offs, and I've won every single time. Lockie says it's my levers, but I just think it's just my superior strength.
Shorter and weighs about 10 kilos less.
Good answer, Lock. Yeah. That was a good answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, who's up?
Okay.
Amir, have a crack, big boy.
So the question was how to know what to post and
develop the confidence.
what type of content to put out, correct?
And how to develop confidence, right?
Yes, correct.
How to develop confidence in what you guys. Okay, so there's a couple of things in regards to putting out posts. It's a bit of a mix of, first of all, humility, but also a case of like ignorance is bliss. I was thinking about this a few weeks ago. You know how your Facebook memories come up and stuff like that. And there was a post that I had put out like 6-7 years ago in the earlier days. And although the post was not very accurate, especially by today's standards, I noticed that what I was doing in the post was just, I was exploring, I was presenting ideas, I was putting forward things, I was having a go, so to speak. But at the same time, I wasn't, don't try and impose your views, but say it in the sense of trying to explore things, if that makes sense. Trying to document your own journey in regards to learning things as you go. I think one of the main things, aside from all of this, for people that they struggle with, especially now, is there is so much saturation of different people saying things, especially people that maybe come off as people who know what they're talking about. And you have what Lockie was saying, kind of like an imposter syndrome, where you feel like you don't know what you're talking about. But and then you care too much about other people liking you. Don't write things, don't say things with the intention that I hope people will like me. I want to be smart or witty in what I'm trying to say. When you try and do that, it defeats the purpose, and you almost never come across that way anyway. So just say what you want to say, and say it in a humble way, say it in an explorative way, and fix things as you go. If you make a wrong claim to something, later that you find out, admit that. People respect that. People will be drawn to that. And I think that's the first obstacle you have to overcome is the idea of other people's judgments. It doesn't really fucking matter what people say. Because no matter what you do, who you become, how well polished you try to be, how many people you try to please, somebody is going to hate it without asking you, without getting to know you, without anything like that. So it doesn't fucking matter. Just say what you want to say anyway, and just be coming from a good heart, good intentions, trying to develop things, trying to put good information out there. You will be wrong sometimes. Just admit it when you find out. You'll be fine.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, look, I don't have much else to add on top of that. You two boys summarise it really well. I think earn your right progressively to build up to some of those bigger issues and bigger principles, and just really make sure that you know that your way is a way and not the only way, and really represent that. Just be careful how things are worded. I think probably sort of going off track slightly here, just remembering that pretty much everything that you do post can come back to bite you these days. Everything that's posted online, any video, any picture, any content, is generally out there forever. So just know that the way that you present yourself or whatever you do post can be twisted or manipulated or brought back. If you, I'm sure that, as you said, there's things that will pop up in your feed that you think, shit, well, what was I thinking? As long as it's a mistake from a principle or
Sean, that's every post.
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, oh, fuck, I don't like that. And then I'm like, oh, well, shit happens.
Is that like the ones where you're saying you're going to bash Kane Corns or what?
Mate, if he's watching, or the commander, I'm going to take both of them on in a Royal Rumble.
No, I think to sort of, to give some sort of information outside of what Amir and Lachlan just covered is just be careful that what you do post, as well as being informative and being progressive and being mindful of your position in the industry and making sure that you are stepping out of line and so on and so forth. Just making sure that whatever you do post can't be manipulated or used against you in a way that, say, for example, you're sitting down for a pro sport job in 5 years' time and high performance manager pulls up a post and goes, mate, you wrote this in 2017. What was all this about? Where you have sledged somebody or you've named names or something along those lines. You've verbally attacked somebody or criticised somebody's principles directly. I think that's really important. So in any sense, like that, whether that's in your professional or your personal life as well, you've got to be careful what you post out there these days, because everything circulates around and that can have a big impact on what happens later on down the track too. So that's probably just general life advice as opposed to sort of specific strength and conditioning.
Can I put a very big public service announcement for people jumping on Instagram? Learn the fucking difference between a part and a part, because it is nothing more frustrating in life than to read a post when people say, I love being a part of a team, and they use one word. A part means you are distant. A part means you're a part of a team. And I see it on fucking so many posts and it does my head in. Personal thing, I'll leave you with that.
Done.
So now that Lockie's off his soapbox, I'm going to give probably some contrary advice. The first thing with Sean, I agree with you that things can come back to haunt you, but there are actually products and software out in the market that clean your Facebook and your accounts and any search kind of keywords for your photos, for things you've said that could be possible to flag. So if you do and have done it, and I've definitely said things online that I perhaps wouldn't want people to find out now, there is software that will essentially do an audit of all your social media profiles, audit of Google searches, and you can actually pay just to clear it out, and they will delete everything for you.
Carl, it sounds like you've
I've
had
got the premium package.
Definitely the premium package.
You'd need millions of dollars to clean up Woods. All
Hey, I'll just say an opinion on what they're all saying. I'm going to say the opposite to that. For me, I couldn't give a fuck. This is who I am.
Exactly.
I don't
Exactly.
care. If you don't like it, all right. Man, my mum says it all the time. She goes, "Don't you care?" I said, "Nah, don't really give a flying fuck, really." People go, "We're going to look back in life and say you shouldn't have wrote that." No, not at all. I don't regret anything. So you can take it two ways. You can either go that way and do what Sean, and I can understand that way. Trust me, I understand. But then you got people like me who just go, "Oh, well, fucking, I said it and I stand by what I say." And there is sometimes I retract it and say, "I fucked up, I apologise," and that shows me you're a man as well, or a woman, that you can admit your guilt.
So I agree with Woodford. Just one point. I think that it's only concern, Sean, that you have when you have to be accountable to someone else. When you have to be accountable to some other guy who makes a decision on whether they employ you or not, then you have to worry about that shit. I'm fucking out of that. I don't want to ever have to walk into a job interview ever again. I'll fucking die before that happens. So I don't really give a fuck.
Okay.
So, but
I apologise for splinters in my ass, boys. I'm sitting on the fence hardcore here. You're just keeping it straight down.
Yeah, but so many people are. That's realistic for a lot of people out there who are in your position, Sean.
I disagree with my own business partner here because Karl is accountable. I'm accountable because people that we coach, we have 12, 13-year-old girls that we coach whose parents follow me. So I'm accountable to their parents. If I look like an idiot online, then I can tell you right now, they're not going to bring their 12-year-old, 13-year-old superstar athlete back to our facility. So there's no reason why you shouldn't put your own opinion out there and obviously stick to it. And I don't think you need to worry about what people think as far as that side of it goes. I agree with you. But you also have to make sure that you are representing you and your brand to an extent that you're not going to sacrifice business. Because me and Karl go, we've already said it, for us, one of our best markets, 12 to 15-year-old children that are pushing through is a massive market for us because we have them long-term. We have them long-term, we can develop them. That same market is going to be influenced heavily by their parents, and parents are now on social media. The generation of coming through where, like, my mum wouldn't have a clue how to flick through things. Modern parents do, and they're on social media and they're following us. So if they don't respect what we're saying or they think we look like Muppets, then they're not going to bring their children to our facility.
Oh, no. Don't get me wrong. I agree with what you're saying, Locke. That's 100%. But at the same time, what I mean by what I'm saying is, and I think Karl was saying the same thing with what he was thinking, was what you did say in the past is what you said. But at the same time, you have to represent your brand because we have young kids come through. At the same time, you can't be saying something that's like going to completely ruin your brand in such a way people are going to look at it and go, well, I'm not going to bring my 13-year-old kid there when this guy's fuck this and fuck that. Like, even Kieran says to me, I'm getting better at when the kids come in the gym, it's let's not swear, let's not play loud, blaring music, let's start really focusing on coaching. And then obviously there's times and places for it, and parents know that. You know, the parents who are going to go to Athletes Authority or PEAQ or us or Adonis, they kind of know, well, look, they're going to get high-level coaching, but at the same time, we need to represent our brand where you're not going fuck, shit, fuck, swearing all the time or belittling people. And you've got to have you've got to be true to yourself, but at the same time, you're going to have a balance. And I agree with what you're saying. I think, Karl, you must have thought the same thing as me, but Locke, I agree with what you're saying. You have to have that balance of your brand. You've got to represent your brand in the best possible way. I agree.
What I'm saying is, you've got, when you're accountable to someone else, then you have to play by their rules. When you're accountable to yourself, and I think that's a distinction that I'm trying to make here, is you get to make the decisions of how your brand is represented, but then you also fall on that sword.
Yes, yeah.
That's the distinction I'm trying to make there. You decide.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
Don't worry about that.
Die by your own sword.
On your, do you want me to answer your question, Alex, quickly?
Please.
I actually going to say something contrary again to the general rule.
It's almost like you're a contrarian of some sort, Karl.
I generally try to be that way. Yeah. Realistically, when you think of confidence, you can think of confidence through changes of your schema and your perception, your self-worth, your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and your self-efficacy. So kind of from the inside out, think about how you look at the world and how you look at yourself. But then you've got a solution, which is, I think, probably more applicable for this, which is whilst you work on your self-schema, which is essentially developed through your experience, you actually work from the outside in. And I actually suggest to people to act. So I actually say, think of a persona that you want to embody. For example, I often use like Jordan Peterson, for example. So I spend a lot of time, use my mirror neurons to watch Jordan Peterson. I watch him talk, I watch him speak, I watch the way he acts, he plays with his ring, he does these types of things. I follow it, I watch it, and then I embody it. In times like this where I'm presenting or I'm talking, I act as if I'm someone else. In the absence of my own confidence, in my own self-scheme, I act like someone else until I get enough experience to actually let go of the alter ego and let go of a persona and actually just be that person.
Is that fake it till you make it?
That is fake it till you make it. That is fake it till you make it.
Would you say that's akin to how children grow up in mirroring their parents and their surroundings?
Of course. In the absence of your own schema and your own experiences, you have to create one. Yeah. So if you are a coach and you're battling with your confidence, then whilst you work and provide enough exposure and experience, fake it.
What's the alternative? Is there an alternative?
Well, of course, be invisible.
That's not even alternative. Like
Alex. But well, it is, because it's what 95% of the coaching population do.
Right.
They are invisible because they don't have the stuff. It's if when I get this, then I'll do that. They're like, once I'm confident, then I'll start posting. It's that if then that fallacy, and you just won't get it, because when you fake it, you start to develop the experiences and you get the exposure, and that's what allows your own self-confidence to kind of actually develop.
That's actually that's actually really smart.
But this is acting, right? So my mum was in theatre. She was an opera singer. So I grew up as a child actor, and I was very nervous.
Animated.
I was a nervous kid. I was like, especially through high school, I was like skinny fat, and I was everything you didn't want to be as a kid. I was a nerd. Everything you didn't want to be. But what I did realize you could do was you could act as if you were someone you weren't. So on stage, I was quite outgoing, loud, captivating, and I got paid to do that. And I guess I've taken that away, is in the absence of your own experiences to develop your self-confidence, act. Now, right now, I don't really need to act in these types of, because I have the self-confidence to deal with this situation. In probably a high pressure situation, and Lockie knows, I still get nervous talking in front of a big crowd. So I then need to have a different strategy for that. And that's where I need to act.
Alex, at the end of the day, we're just all talking chimps, mate. That's all we are.
At the end of the day,
party on this
nice
short.
reference.
I've been trying to figure out where we could squeeze that in somewhere.
Oh, there you
Talking
go.
chimps. I'm sick of it. Stop talking.
For those who have no idea what the hell he just said, it's a reference to my podcast, which
No
Christian,
one cares.
credit to you for being on the first episode, man. Massive credit. I can't wait to get the rest of you guys on.
I'll do my research, Alex. Don't worry about that, brother.
Good man. Now, Amir, did you have anything last to touch on there? Did we get everyone?
No, I already said my piece.
Awesome.
So everyone's gone.
I think we've done it again. Another amazing conversation. I'm so grateful for all of you guys taking the time to do this again. I hope we continue to do it. It's such a great opportunity to deliver value and give people, kind of suffocate their excuses and elevate and empower our communities around us. If you guys have any parting thoughts, words, comments, I'll leave on the screen as you guys leave where people can find you and everything. But if you have any last words, please say your piece now. And
let's keep changing the fucking game. That's all I'm going to say.
Hashtag.
We'll change the fucking game leading from the front. We need everyone with us. So we've got all of us all you guys need to come with us. Let's keep changing the fucking game. That's all I've got to say. I love you all. Thank you for the time.
Bless.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Hey, guys.
Catch you on the next one.
It was a pleasure.
Hey, guys.
See you, Wood.
Oh no. Oh no. Good lord. What a way to end.
Not a surprise.
Classic.
Classic. See you, Karl.
Yeah, mate.
See you, Chris.
See you, man.
All right. That is it, guys. That was the Orphic Education Roundtable. I'll just leave you guys with kind of where to find us. You can find all of these conversations that we'll be putting out. We don't just do the Coaches Roundtable. We also do the weekly webinars as well, where, for example, last week we had 2 bodybuilders on, having a more intimate conversation. So you can find all of these conversations at on our Facebook page at Orphic Education, and also on our YouTube as well, Orphic Education. So just go search there, depending on because you can watch these things at faster speeds on there. And we will also be releasing these on our audio platforms and podcasting platforms, so you guys can see them all there and get it there. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions for any future conversations, please let us know. Put in the comments now. Put in the comments of future ones, of past ones. And if you want to stay up to date, then you can see exactly, where we do the next ones on our Instagram, on our Facebook, and on our YouTube. And in case you guys don't know who the hell Orphic Education is, because I think a lot of people are finding out through these conversations, we deliver Certificate 3s and 4 in fitness, and we pride ourselves on delivering the highest quality, most practical Cert 3s and 4s in the country, and we will take any challenge to that. And I'm just going to put on the screen right here exactly where you can find the rest of the coaches right here. If you want to follow them, check them out. Here they are. We had Amir from Adonis, Christian Woodford from Woodford's, Karl and Lachlan from Athletes Authority. Ryan wasn't in this one, but he was in the first one from Formidable Strength, and Sean from PEAQ. And then you have me from Orphic. I'm Alexander Emmanuel, and really, really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you in the next one every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Stay tuned. Much love, and thank you.